carved, in letters not numbers, 43A. There was, as I could not help thinking, something most definitely un-Hampstead in such arch and suburban artfulness. It was, however, the garden itself to which my attention was drawn. It was laid out, naively symmetrically, with plants in pots and flowers in flower-beds, to practically none of which I, a writer so often praised for my descriptive powers, could have put a name. But pride of place had been given by the house's occupiers to, of all improbable trees, a palm. The intention had doubtless been to contribute an inkling of exoticism to the dull, housebroken leafiness of NW3. To make of this poor solitary palm tree a synecdoche and symbol of the light and warmth and colour of which the British quotidian round is so starved. Yet its effect on me, as an uneasiness of spirit invested the matter with an intensity I could not explain, was completely the reverse. The presence of the palm, set to very moot advantage by a meandering string of little white pebbles that looped around its base, and an arrangement of turquoise and yellow flowers so orderly it might have served as a pattern on a woman's blouse, only underscored how alien it was to its setting. It transported me no further southwards, nowhere more exotic or alluring than Torquay, that insipid jewel of the English Riviera. Torquay of the palm-skirted putting greens and promenades. Its having been uprooted in this manner filled me with the same distaste and pity as would an elephant trained to stand up on its hind legs in a circus act. Really, it was an inoffensive enough thing to encounter on a Hampstead lawn, and no one else would have afforded it more than a glance. But it was there that I chanced to stop, and, if not this, then something else would have allowed me to objectify my exasperation with the world and its ineradicable mediocrity, to pronounce, not precisely aloud, the anathema I had been harbouring inside of me since I left home. All journalists be damned to hell. I was born in the year of grace 1930 and as a writer had been, somewhat to the surprise of my contemporaries at Cambridge, who had expected the greatest things of me, what is generally called a late developer. Orphaned during my final year and made wealthy by the tragedy, I was of course without the incentive of any pressing material need to commit myself to literary expression of whatever variety or depth, and until the latter 60s had brought out just a short, indifferently published study of the 16th-century Mannerist school of painting, the kind of thing that was no more, and perhaps even a trifle less than might have been looked for in someone of such obvious brilliance. In every other respect, that period of my life remained as sketchy and enigmatic to those with whom I had formed close friendships at university, and there were few enough of them, as it did to the scarcely more numerous readers and critics and fellow writers, for if anyone deserved the ungrateful epithet of writer's writer, it was I, who discovered what they judged to be talent of a quite extraordinary stamp in the series of 4 novels I wrote in swift succession from 1969 to the middle of the next decade. These 4 novels, which were frequently referred to my intense annoyance, as a tetralogy, shared the theme of sacrifice, a theme to which their author seemed to be ascribing an explicitly religious, or at the very least otherworldly significance. In spite of that, they had conventionally been read, especially in France, where my stock was higher than in my native country, and my work had been compared to Blanchot's, as allegories of the quasi-sacrificial act of writing itself, and the correlative condition of perpetual and agonizing incertitude that it induces in the writer. Of the 4 individual sacrifices chronicled in the novels, not one is shown to have been justified. Fastidiously textured, unlyrical and superficially uneventful save for the pivotal act, curiously timeless in atmosphere, despite the occasional and, as some believed, rather intrusive allusion to the Holocaust, they were of personal inspiration only in the paradoxical sense that